Good evening, family. Yeah, this is Mrs. Prophetess Agnes Wiafe-Amoako. Again, I'm here to read the second she reading. This is still from the book that I introduced last week, and the book is called Monshe, means look, or let us see. And this riddle or anwensem is called Obidie Abba. Obidie Abba basically means that somebody's issue is at hand. Somebody's issue is at hand. Literally translated, somebody's case has come. Yeah. Somebody's issue is at hand. Obidie Abba. And in the culture of the Akans, the tree-speaking Akans are we have the Ashanti tree, which is the Ashanti tree, the Kuapem tree, which is the Kuapem tree, the Achim tree, which is sort of the midpoint of all the trees speaking tribes, including the Fantis. Yeah, I come from both Ashanti and Achim, so Tree is the main language I grew up speaking. My husband is a Fanti. There is a Fanti tree, which is also tree, but they're all a bit different from each other, right? It's a bit distinct from each other. But the main tree is the Achim Asante tree. And this book was written in the Achim tree, which is the midpoint. Yeah. So anyways, the title of this riddle, I don't know if it's a riddle, Anwensem. Anwensem is like a proverb, but not quite. It's like a recital. I think it's a recital or a riddle. And it's called Obidie Abba. Obidie Abba, like I said earlier, means somebody's issue is at hand. In the Akan tribe, the Achims and the Ashantis, there's a lot that we learn growing up through these poems, riddles, Anansi stories, yeah, and the sayings, learning at the feet of the elders, the elderly, and our parents growing up. The tradition is such that a lot of things are done indirectly because the culture is built on that of respect. So that becomes a bit of a challenge for the diasporians, especially those that live here for quite a bit of time and get acculturalized to the Western culture. I was talking to a brother yesterday, and I was telling him how when you live in this part of the world for so long and you go back home, there's a lot of things that you have to relearn. And that is the reacculturalization of our original culture, because your perspective on things changes a little bit. But I've always taught the youth, my children especially, that you never lose sight of where you come from. You never lose sight of your own culture, your origin, your ancestral background. So what I do is you pick the good from your culture, because in every culture there is the good side and the bad side. Just like, in every society, there is good and bad. So you hang on to the good of yours, and then you add it to the good of the society you have adopted or the society that you live in now. So that's what I try to do. Make sure the language is intact, make sure tradition is maintained, at least the good side of the tradition. And some of it is what we are doing, like learning the language, reading some of these riddles, some proverbs, some poems, some Anansi stories. And they all speak to the values of the society. So this one is called Obidie Abba, meaning somebody's issue is at hand. So when someone is in trouble, for instance, humans, we have the tendency to dwell on the negative sometimes instead of looking at, oh, what is behind this? What is the background? How can I be empathetic? How can I sympathize with this person? How can I put myself in the shoes of this person so that, I don't just hear something and run with it, which most of the time when you do that, you make mistakes, because later on you find out, not knowing what I heard wasn't all the truth. So these are some of the ways they teach the young people, or the society learns through some of these riddles as to how to conduct our affairs and how to treat each other as social beings, as family members, as, community members. If something happens to your brother or your sister, do you just jump with it? Do you go around gossiping about it without knowing the full story? No. You need to first and foremost pause and then ask yourself, there's always two sides to the story. Is this true? How do I find out? You need to listen to the other side or observe yourself, and then you form your own conclusions. And in the Christian environment, you pray for your neighbor, you pray for your fellow human, and wish them well, empathize with them. Whatever you can do to assist, you do that. As humans, there are times where we'll lose our temper, we'll lose our cool, like they call it here. You lose your cool because there's so much a human being can take. It gets to a point where you need to speak up, which is another thing in the culture, especially for us women. Growing up, you were virtually expected to be seen and not so much heard. So outspokenness is not something that is encouraged for girls in our society. It's changing now. Like I said, Ghana is really changing. Some of the changes are good, but some, in my perspective, I thought were not so good, like losing some of the cultural aspects of our language and stuff like that. So anyways, it's quite a long riddle or recital. I should call it a recital, because my kids were telling me a riddle is something that you say and expect a response back. This is like an advice form of a recital. So I will do my best to interpret as much as I could. And like I've always said, if there's anyone here that understands certain aspects of it that I might have explained it the Western Tree way, please do not hesitate to drop a comment at the comment section. Anyways, enuanom sɛnea mekaeɛ no tree no ɛna yɛde asan abrɛ mu biom, tree reading no na wei yɛ anwensɛm na mebɛkenkan yi. Ɔse obi deɛ aba na mekyerɛkyerɛ mu kakra wɔ kotɔ kasa mu sɛnea ɛbɛyɛ a yɛnnuanom a ɔmo nka tree no so bɛte nea yɛyɛ sɛnea yɛaka dada no. Yɛsrɛ mu a sɛ yɛkyerɛ biribi ase na sɛ antotɔ so yie a na wɔ comment biara mepakyɛ, feel free to leave it in the comment section, as long as it's productive, constructive, and excuse me to say respectful. it is welcomed. Enti osi obi die aba. First one osi edin a eye me de. Eno ni obi die aba. Ampa obi die aba no na obi nso die nam kwan so. Enti se wate me die yi a empentemwa bi. Na obi die aba no na obi nso die nam kwan so. It says here that when somebody's issue is at hand, or when somebody gets into trouble, either someone is spreading rumors about the person, true or false, or someone has gotten into some kind of trouble, be it socially or legally, let us not rush into condemning the person. Let us not rush into concluding. Because today it is somebody's issue. Tomorrow it might be yours. Right? So obi diaba, obi nso die nam kwan so. When somebody's issue is at hand, there's another person whose issue might arrive tomorrow, so to speak. So let us be empathetic. Let us not rush to judgments or rush to condemn or conclude until we have the full story. The second one says, why na onim ochna asem? Who knows tomorrow? Enti wuridi masri hehe. Who knows tomorrow? So much so that you are laughing at your neighbor when you don't have the full story. And frama kunim a boy na edi awo baye eneno. Ebia na ochna osubrentim bi ribesibri wo. Ama wafoe kwan trodo no so. Enti na mese enne media ba ebia na ochna wonso odie nam kwan so. Please forgive me if the accent is not as indigenous as I would like it to be. It's been a while. So anyways, basically to sum it up, it's saying here that why na onim ochna sem, meaning who knows tomorrow? Enti uridi mi asri hehe. Who knows tomorrow so much so that you are rushing into concluding and making mockery of your neighbor because of something you heard that might be wrong, might be a half-truth and all that. So basically, don't let us rush into concluding. Let us not rush into condemning anyone until we know the full story. And it's saying, "Emframa kunim a boy na ede awo by eneno." The wind, the tornado, whatever wind, the strongest of winds that have blown today, that has brought us the cold weather. Ebi ana ochna esubrentim bi rebesibriwo ama wafwe kwantrodo no so. Maybe tomorrow is going to rain and you are going to be drenched in the rain for you to experience how it feels like to be cold. So basically, why are you rushing into concluding about why your neighbor is saying I'm cold? More or less. Because tomorrow it might be your turn. So let us not rush into conclusion. Let us always take our time and learn the full story before we form our own judgments as humans. The next one says, Susugume enkwai mu enchene, nenye bigu wampesie eso. It says, I think it's a proverb, He's saying, do not put too much salt into my soup to a point where you will not have some of the salt remaining for your ampesi. Ampesi is like a boiled yam or boiled plantain. So it's basically saying, take your time, hold off, be patient, don't rush into conclusions, and don't rush into judging your fellow human. Give your neighbor the benefits of the doubt, so to speak. Obiri kra ni nyame no na obi nyina ho enti se nne me dia ba enti nsre me efise obi dia ba ne no wonso wo die beba dabi. To literally translate it, obi ekra ni nyame no na obi nyina ho, basically meaning nobody knows how we all came. Like basically, God has a plan and purpose for each human. Okra meaning you're saying goodbye, meaning when God was sending us into this earth, he had a purpose for each and every one of us. And none of us know. It is only God and the person that God endowed with those gifts or abilities. They are the ones that know. So, but I think here, what he's trying to say is that you do not know somebody's story. You don't know somebody's pain. You don't know somebody's history. So when you hear something about someone, please do not rush to judgments. Because today it is me, tomorrow might be you. So let us be empathetic. Let us be humble enough to love our neighbor as ourselves. And let us make sure that before we conclude or condemn anyone, who are we humans to condemn to start with, right? But before we conclude or judge, let us make sure we know the full story. With the same measure that we judge others, we should expect to be judged, meaning the standard that we hold others to, we should hold ourselves to the same standards. That is what basically he's trying to say. Say neme diaba ente ensreme. If he say obi diaba neno wonso wodie beba debi. If you've heard about my plight today, don't hear it and run with it and laugh, because it might be me today, tomorrow it might be your turn. So basically emphasizing empathy, be empathetic towards your neighbor. Next one say Edia Eyamede Enone Obi Diaba. It's a name that I love so much, and that is, it is somebody's turn today. It is my turn today. Somebody's turn. Obi die aba. Na se wehu mesin tona susune konkonsa trade no. If you see my weakness today, enough of the gossip, enough of the talk, enough of the whispers. We have a lot of that in the society, you know, when you come from this communal, you know, community, how do I put it? Societies that are communal based. Like I mentioned something today that growing up, it was like a big village, right? Like Hillary Clinton said, it takes a village. So everyone watches out for everyone. Every neighbor is there to protect the neighbor's child. If need be, they step in to protect them, or to, you know, in the same vein. It's like one big community. Everyone watches out for everyone. And as a result of that, everybody knows everybody's story too. So it's like somebody hears something and they start spreading it. And if you know the full story, that's okay. But if you don't know the full story and you hear half story, half truth, or even a complete lie and you run with it, later on you realize that you've made a mistake when the full story comes out. So what Mr. Boyton is trying to tell us through his book here today is that let us be patient, let us be empathetic towards one another. Let us realize that there is always two sides to a story, and let us also not rush to conclusions until we have the full story. And that comes through empathy, that comes through love. When you love your neighbor as yourself, you try to put yourself in the shoes of other people. And so you are very slow to conclude, you are very slow to judge. When the full story comes together, when you get the full picture and you need to speak up, hey, that is also very important because like the Bible says, iron sharpens iron, right? And in the Akan language, they say something like whoever is mowing the path, like when they are going to farm, for instance, they call it esa. Esa means the path to the farm, right? So they have to make sure they have a road to the farm or a path to the farm. And sometimes, the person who is weeding along the way might not know. And then they usually have to be a straight path to wherever direction they are going. But because you are weeding and you are trying to move forward, whoever is behind you will know whether the path is straight or crooked. So in the Akan language, there's a proverb that says, "Nia otra esano, onhu senechia eden achia." And so here is an example, right? It's saying that nase wahu misin to enea susune konkonsa trade. Is that the one I was reading? Which one was I reading? Oh gosh, I think I've messed. Anyways, so it's basically the long and short of it, of the reading today, the Irene Sem or the riddle or the recital today is, let us be empathetic towards one another. Let us not rush to conclusions as we tend to make mistakes if we don't get the full story before judging one another or before concluding. And let us reduce gossip. Gossip is how character is defamed. It's through gossip that people are able to run away with lies and in the process destroy the image of others, which in this society that we live in is called defamation. You can be sued for it. One can go to court to answer, especially when what is being spread is a lie, when what is being spread is out of hate, when what is being spread is half-truth. And if it affects somebody emotionally or physically, then you can be called to answer for it. So what this riddle is saying, and there's a few more, it's quite a long one. I will end this here. We can continue another time. As usual, it's late, and I need to end here for now. Yeah, I will continue tomorrow. But I'm learning so much, from these three Irene Sem and the proverbs and all that. Sort of like a refresher for me, and I hope it's a refresher for many of us in the diaspora. Into your see, obidie abba. Okay, let me read this one. This one says, the final one says, Edin bin mame awerɛhyɛm. Edin bi ma me enyinasoɔ. Edin bi hyɛ me gyidie den. Edin bi ma me anidasoɔ. Edin bi kata me fɛreɛ so. Edin bi ma me nkranhyɛ. Edin a ɛyɛ me dɛ. Ɛno ara ne obi deɛ aba. So I have a few to read another time, but the conclusion, which will tie the whole picture together, is saying that Edin bi ma me awerɛhyɛmu, meaning there is a name that gives me encouragement. Edin bi ma me enyinasoɔ. There is a name that grounds me. Can I get a tissue? I'm sweating. One of those. Sorry, excuse me. No, you don't have Kleenex.
It's in there.
Okay. All right. Let me just.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll cut this out. So just continue as if nothing happened.
So the conclusion says, Edin bi, there's a name that grounds me. There's a name that gives me encouragement. Edin bi hyɛ me gyidie den. There is a name that grounds my faith or strengthens my faith, so to speak. Edin bi ma me anidasoɔ. It's a name that gives me hope. Edin bi kata me fɛreɛ so. There's a name that eliminates my fears or eliminates my, is it shyness? Yeah, eliminates my uncomfortability or my fears or my shyness. Obi onim a better explanation for that. I think that is not doing it justice, really. Edin bi ma me nkranhyɛ. There's a name that encourages me. Edin a ɛyɛ me dɛ. A name that I love to hear, that I enjoy hearing, that I like so much. Ɛno ara ne obi deɛ aba. That name is called Today is Somebody's Turn. Tomorrow will be another person's turn. And so let us be empathetic towards one another. Let us be supportive of one another. Let us put ourselves in the shoes of our neighbor, and that will help our society actually do better. It will reduce frictions, it will reduce conflicts, it will actually reduce pain and suffering in the lives of those who are the receiving end of gossip, at the receiving end of rumors and lies. And so, obi diaba, and then the we brought to you today is somebody's turn. Tomorrow might be somebody else's. Thank you so much for listening. And as I've said, this will be a weekly reading geared towards our African, specifically Ghanaian, in the diaspora, and to help us tweak our memory, to learn values that we might be forgetting, because after living away from home for so long, we tend to forget a few things, no matter how hard we try to hang on. And this is also a way to get our children, the youth in the diaspora, to learn a thing or two from their auntie Mrs. Prophetess Agnes Agatha Wiafe-Amoako, all the way from Canada. Happy Labor Day. And please, let's keep safe, as this corona situation is a very serious one. Let us not take it for granted. I am recording from my daughter's house or room or whatever. so I don't have my mask on. But if I am in a common area, I will have to wear the mask. Yeah, because it's helping. You know, research has shown that wearing the mask does help. So please let us keep it up. As school is opening, it is my prayer that the Lord will protect our children, all the children in the schools all over the world, that the Lord will protect them and build that resiliency. But children, it's so difficult to even think about children going to school and wearing masks all day, especially the young ones. I opted my daughter out of in-person because I did not feel like it's practical. But this is a new norm. So, you know, and some parents don't have the luxury of working from home. So what do? They have to let the children go. So it's not out of luxury, but out of necessity. So let us all continue to pray for the students, for the young ones, the youth, and the university ones, that the Lord will protect them, that the Lord will protect our world from this disease, that the Lord will help the scientists, the researchers to come up with whatever needs to be discovered that is safe enough for us to use to overcome this deadly disease called corona. Yeah, this 2020, the unique, that is the biggest story, the virus. So many people have died, and it's so sad. So many are sick. So many have lost their jobs. So many people have lost hope. If you are in that category, what I will encourage you with is the word of God, because He is our hope. He is our Redeemer. He is our protector, Jehovah Rapha, the Lord our healer. It's my prayer that anyone that is sick of the corona, the Lord will touch them with His healing hands and heal them. Anyone among us that have lost family members, dear ones, friends and neighbors, it's my prayer that the Lord will comfort and strengthen you through these difficult times. And it's my prayer that